During this short presentation, my goal is not necessarily to tell you how to use ClickUp SuperAgent, because what I found is many times the main obstacle between or for us to build the first SuperAgent or to build the next SuperAgent is not always the question about how to use this functionality or how to use this SuperAgent feature, but rather understanding how do I come up with an idea of the SuperAgent that will stick with my business, that will work for my specific use case. And this is going to be the goal for my today's presentation. I'm going to walk you through one of the real examples that I've built over the last couple of months for one of the companies that I worked with. And hopefully I'll also explain the approach that we were following, so that hopefully it helps you understand what steps you can take to build your first or next SuperAgent in your ClickUp account. All right, with all that said, let's jump into this. I'm going to share with you first and give you a little bit more context about what's going on here. So it was a website development company, and the owner of the company reached out and he asked me to help them set up ClickUp and build ClickUp around their website development lifecycle process, right? Which means basically how they deliver projects to their customers. And again, the question was not about how do we use SuperAgent's functionality. It was about how do I make ClickUp and how do I structure ClickUp for my business. And I believe this is the first step that many people are missing, because when you're thinking about using AI or using SuperAgent functionality in ClickUp in this specific case, many people start and jump straight to the very last question, which is what SuperAgents should I build or what template should I use? What I believe is before you jump into that question, the first thing that is a very good exercise is understanding what are you implementing ClickUp for, right? What is the business process that you're trying to adopt ClickUp for, or that you're trying to build ClickUp around? And in this example, again, there was a website development process. You can see over here that we've built a structure, and just to give you a very quick understanding or a basic understanding of what I mean by visualizing and understanding the process, I'm going to show you this quick diagram, and this is an example of the diagram that we've built with that agency owner. And this basically outlines the process, step-by-step process. And by the way, this is not the exact diagram, this is a slightly different process, but it gives you a better understanding of what I mean by understanding the process. First, you need to understand all the steps that are involved in what you're doing in that specific part of the business. And then after you're understanding that, when what we did with that company, we built ClickUp structure around that process. We said, how can ClickUp now help us do this work better, faster, and be more productive? And this is the ClickUp structure that we put in place. Basically, we split it into two different spaces. One space is for the client, it's called the client space, which basically lists all the clients in separate folders. And you can see over here, each one of them has an admin list, which is basically admin tasks for that specific client, and the website development projects for that specific client. Again, sometimes they can have one project, some clients can have multiple website projects. And there is a separate space because what that agency owner mentioned to me was most of the time, and again, that's probably how 80% of the teams are using ClickUp, is, including myself, is we're using ClickUp as a to-do list, right? We want to see all the things that we need to do today, tomorrow, next week, and sometimes we're missing to see that big picture of what's happening in the business or what's happening in a specific part of the business, in this case, in the delivery process. And in order for us to have that more broad look and to have that 10,000 foot look, we created that client space in addition to tracking all the action items and to-do tasks that we're going to perform to actually deliver the project. So the client space, imagine it's a 10,000 foot overview of what's going on for all the clients in the agency. The website or the project space here represents the actual and tactical steps that you need to complete in order to deliver that project. So here we broke it down into different phases, right? You can see that there are phases and admin tasks list, there are website pages, there are also feedback revisions. So again, all of these things just help teams deliver the product or the end result to the customer. The web pages represent different pages that go through different stages of the process. You can see they go through wireframe, design, development. The same happens with the phases. These are the admin tasks that some of the team members need to take care of, and they're broken down into different phases. So what happened after we built this structure, right, for the context, we've built this, we started using it, but then then what happened is most of the time his team was spending in these folders over here. So they were managing the admin tasks, and they were updating the stages, and they were going and updating the website pages tasks, posting different comments and saying this is completed and that is done. But what they forgot about is to give that 10,000 foot overview to the business owner or the leadership team so that everyone has kind of an understanding of what's going on with all the project. So again, it was annoying for people to go back and forth and switching between the project folder and the client folder and giving that feedback. And again, if we didn't have the client space, you could say, well, why don't you just have the project space? But if we didn't have the client space, again, for the business owner or the management team, the leadership team, it would be much harder to understand what's happening and having that 10,000 foot overview. If not, again, this space, they would need to go into this project folders, again, look through different phases, through different admin tasks, website pages, and kind of dive in detail into the project. They didn't want to do that. They just wanted a single tracker for the project, again, that we're storing in the client space over here under the project space. So what happens here is, as I was thinking about this, I came up with this idea. And honestly, prior to using this for or building this specific structure, I was a little bit reluctant to SuperAgent functionalities. I didn't know how to come up with this idea. And after I understood the process the company held, after I understood the structure or build the structure in ClickUp that actually worked for the team, then I came up with this idea and I said, listen, if we had this little manual step that the team member has to come here, or the website development list, or they can go and see the view over here and update the stages from this view, why don't we just create a super agent, and there is a new functionality in ClickUp, and test it out and see if that works. So this is what we did. And basically what super agent does in this specific example is that every day, or at least this is how I set it up, every day it looks through all the website folders or project folders that we have in our ClickUp, right? It looks through all the phases, through admin tasks, through the website pages, what is the status for them. There's also revisions from the clients that are coming in this list. And what it does is just a very simple thing. It basically summarizes all the updates that happened for that specific project, and it posts it inside the website project task here. So if I open one of the project tasks, you can see one of the comments from the website project status sync SuperAgent. This is how it's called in this example. And it says the current phase is design. Core pages are in wireframe and visual design. No changes were recorded. So it basically gives you a very brief description of what's the status of that specific project. In addition to giving you this comment, what it also does is it updates the stage of the process of the task automatically. So I don't need anymore to go look through all the phases or all the stages for the web pages, through the admin tasks, and then determine, oh, this project moved from design into development stage. No, this super agent basically does it instead of me. And that was one of the kind of main things and main struggles that specific team experienced with this setup, is that because leadership team wanted to have that 10,000 foot view, again, the team had to remember about going back and forth and going into different views and updating these things. With this super agent, it basically removes that friction and allows the team to work in one space where they have more tactical tasks and action items for today, tomorrow, and next week on how to deliver all the projects, while super agent basically keeps the leadership team informed and tells everyone where things are standing. So this is really, really cool. And I think the main thing here, even though this is extremely simple and you might have built something very similar for your business already, or you had an idea about building the same thing for your business already, but the point here is not only the simplicity of the agent, but the main thing is that it actually works for the company that we build it for. Because many times, again, you can hear about many different ways of using super agents, and the point is that you have find your own super agents, or you have find the idea for your own super agents that works for your use case. Because the way you're doing things might be different from your competitors, and they are probably different from your competitors. And that's the point of understanding the process first, which I showed you over here. And again, I show you this as a diagram, right? It can be done in a different multiple ways. It can be done as a whiteboard diagram, as a piece of paper and pen. It can be done however you want to get it done. Just make sure to visualize this is how we do work in this company. The next thing for us is to understand and build the ClickUp structure. And by the way, I have this steps in here, which is visualize the current process, identify deliverables to give the high-level overview to the leadership team, and design the ClickUp structure around these deliverables and the process. This is what we saw in here, right? As we created 2 different spaces, we created different folders for clients, for projects, and again, all of that had a specific purpose because our leadership team needed a 10,000 foot overview, our delivery team needed a place where they can track the tactical tasks and the action tasks to deliver the project. So this is the structure that we built for them. And then only after that, we start understanding, well, this is the best way to use SuperAgents, or this is one of the ideas that we have of how we can use SuperAgent in this specific setup. But again, you have to build and you have to understand the process first, build the setup around that process, and only after that, you can come up with these great ideas of how to use SuperAgents. And one last thing that I want to mention before the passing mic over is that SuperAgents, or the SuperAgent ideas that you might have might be very simple, like this one that I showed you here, right? And this, even though it is simple, it's quite powerful. And that's the main point here. It doesn't have to be very complex, because there is a lot of expectations about AI from business owners and business managers. And sometimes you want AI to do a lot of things at once. You want it to schedule your sessions, you want it to sell, you want it to help your customer support team members. All of that needs to happen at the same time. But the point here is to select one business process, implement ClickUp for one process at a time, and then figure out at least one simple way to use SuperAgents to make your life easier. All right, one of the very last things that I'm going to mention here is because it was one of the things that I was worried most about when I started using SuperAgents was the price and the cost of that. When I started using it, I actually was thinking, well, what if we use it, and I spend, let's say, $30 a month just for, posting different updates. What I found is actually even with this simple solution, I'm going to show you right here. I've tested it for a week, and I've posted 3 times the updates 3 times a day. So again, we agreed with that business owners that we would do actually 1 update per week instead of 3 updates per day. So I was spending 60 cents per week. And with that person and that business owner is probably spending right now between 50 and 60 cents. And again, it's in AI credits in ClickUp. So that's basically 50 cents for keeping things synchronized in ClickUp, which is worth it because again, so many times people just forget about it. So that was one of the one of the biggest objections that I had of why I didn't use ClickUp SuperAgents at the time. And again, right now I see that it is actually beneficial and I understand how to come up with this SuperAgent ideas. And I can see that the price is pretty reasonable for that. All right, so with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it helps you understand the steps you can follow to build your first or next SuperAgent in ClickUp. And thanks for your time, guys.